Hey yogi friends, it's Cathy here. So glad you've come to practice today. Let's just jump right in. We're going to be doing some side stretching. We're going to be doing some triangle moves. So a lot of lengthening in the sides today. So come into your comfy position. Let's close the eyes right away, noticing the breath. Noticing the state of mind as we come here to practice together. Placing the hands either open toward the sky or down facing toward the knees. Either one is just fine. And lengthening through the crown. Let's begin with some full breaths, really filling the belly up. Lifting up through the lungs, up through that collarbone, and on the exhale we lower down and draw the navel in. As we press that exhale out, let's repeat that. Filling the belly, filling the lungs, lifting that collarbone, and then lowering collarbone, pressing the exhale fully out by pulling the navel in. And then we'll gently open the eyes. Let's adjust the seat as necessary to stay erect in the spine. And we can begin with some twisting movements in the torso, lifting the fingertips about 12 inches off the mat as we begin our twist. And we're just twisting from side to side here, raising the arms to shoulder level and noticing how that changes the feeling in the back. And then turning palms to face one another as we raise the arms up further. And noticing how that moves this stretch into another part of the back. And then we'll slowly begin to lower the arms down, back where they came from. And then from here, we'll lift up through the crown, bending slightly forward from the hips, looking into that imaginary pond. Putting the fingers out in front of us for a little support. And then we're going to just walk the fingertips over toward one side, keeping both of the sits bones nicely grounded. Feeling a stretch in the side body here, stretch in the hips. Let's walk the fingertips back to the center and then gently, slowly walk them over to the opposite side. Again, keeping those sits bones grounded. Lengthening through the crown. And then we'll come back over to the center with the hands, pressing back up with the fingertips into our tall seated position, and changing the legs. Putting the opposite leg either on top or in front. Let's do that bend forward again from the hips, using the fingertips for support. And we'll do the same action again after we've been here for a couple seconds. Let's move the fingertips toward one side, holding there for a moment, lengthening through the crown. Remembering to breathe here, keeping the sits bones grounded, coming back toward the center. And walking the fingertips over toward the other side. Again, sits bones are grounded, lengthening through the crown. Breathing into the intense spaces, and on the exhale, drawing tension away from those spaces. Walking the hands back to center and pressing ourselves up to seated. Let's come to a position where the legs are directly out in front of us. And we'll lift the hands up above the shoulders, lengthen through the crown as we bend from the waist. Lengthening through the crown again, lowering the hands down to the mat. Imagine the toes coming toward the nose toward the toes. Bending the knees as much as necessary here, maybe even putting a blanket beneath if you need extra support. If it's in your practice today and you can reach the toes, you want to intensify, you can draw them slightly toward the body, just a gentle tug. Adding some length through the back of the legs, the back of the calves, lengthening up through the crown. Again, we want to have the spine as straight as possible. And if that means the bend forward is not as much, that's a-okay. From here, let's come back to face that long edge of our mat, spreading the knees, spreading the feet and the knees, the legs wide, and bringing the hands out to clasp in front of us, clasping all of the fingers. We're going to make a coffee grinding position, like a big old-fashioned coffee grinder. So we're gonna lean, turn the torso first toward one set of toes, arms outstretched toward those toes, lean toward those toes, then bring the hands and arms toward the center, and then over to the opposite toes. And then sitting back up and leaning back slightly, engaging the abs there. So let's continue making this circular motion. Continue making these circles like an old-fashioned coffee grinder here. And we just keep that movement going. And we're inhaling as we come forward. Exhaling as we come back. And when we are extended toward one set of toes, let's reverse that circle. Bending forward from the waist, coming across to the other set of toes, tilting the pelvis as we come back, engaging the thighs, engaging the abs to hold us up as we come back. One more full circle here. I found myself raising my shoulders up toward the ears. We want to keep space there. And then we're back to the center. And then we'll bring the feet, soles of the feet, to touch one another. And we can grasp beneath the knees, on the shins, at the ankles, or even on the toes, whatever allows you to keep the spine erect. And you can draw the feet in as close as is comfortable. And then just do a little flap of the knees here. Opening up those hips, opening up the groin area. Just imagine a little butterfly flittering about as you do this move. And then we'll come into stillness here. And we'll come to our tabletop. We're going to just do a few cat-cows here to get the spine warmed up a little more. Fingers spread wide, knees directly below hips, feet directly behind the knees. Straight line between crown and tail. Drop the belly, raise the crown and the tail toward the sky. Inhaling and then exhaling. Draw the navel toward the spine and curve the spine toward the ceiling. Inhaling, drop the belly. Exhaling, spine toward ceiling. Inhaling, drop the belly. Exhaling, drawing navel up to spine and curving the spine, pressing into the hands, knees, tops of the feet here. Dropping the belly once more. And curving the spine once more, and then coming into our tabletop position. Let's move the palms, one palm's length forward, curl the toes under behind us, lift the hips up into our down dog. Do just a bit of a pedal here of the feet. Can really help to get them ready to come into stillness in our down dog. Go through your checklist. Ears are beside the biceps. Crown to tail is a straight line. Weight is in the fingertips and that muscly part at the base of the thumb. And pressing the heels toward the mat, let's come into stillness, keeping the shoulders away from the ears so the shoulder blades are down the back. Holding here for a full breath. And then we're going to walk ourselves forward to a forward fold. And just let gravity do the work here on the head, pulling the head toward the earth, bending the knees as much as needed. And letting the chest come toward the thighs. Let's rise up here into a tall mountain pose. And then bring ourselves to face the long edge of the mat once again. Turning out the toes to one side, 90 degrees between the out-turned foot and the back foot. So one set of toes is facing the short edge of the mat, the other set of toes is facing the long edge of the mat. From here, we're going to raise the arms up to shoulder height, and we're going to bend that front knee so that the knee is directly over the foot. You can adjust the back foot if you need more space here. Straight line from crown to tail. Tail is pointing toward the floor. Really feeling your strength here, looking out over that front hand. Making sure the weight of the back leg is concentrated in the edge of the back foot, that outer edge. Holding here. From here, let's bend the front arm, resting the forearm right above the kneecap. And we'll bend toward that front foot and reach the left arm up toward the ceiling. It's my left arm because I happen to be bending toward my right leg, but it could be the right arm for you. The back arm is lifting through the fingertips toward the ceiling. Front arm is resting right above the kneecap, keeping that knee above the ankle. Then we're going to come back into our warrior two, straighten that front leg to give a little relief there, and then lift the front arm up above the shoulder, lowering the back arm to touch the thigh, and maybe even leaning back slightly up at the top. Coming back into this position where the arms are at shoulder height, and then lifting those front fingers and pressing toward that wall, toward the wall that would be in front of the front foot. From here, we can tip forward into our triangle. This is a wonderful place. I'm going to stop and grab my block. Wonderful place to have your block to place your front hand on. I'm going to reposition here, pressing toward the wall, and then lowering toward my block and lifting that back arm up above the shoulder, opening the back hip. So we really want to keep it open as much as possible. It may want to roll forward slightly. Again, listen to your body. If there's a little discomfort in opening the hip, that's okay. A little discomfort means just pay close attention. But if you're feeling pain, then you need to come back, and even a little roll forward can allow that to not be painful if it is. Lengthen through the crown here. To come out of this position, I bend the front knee. It's just easier on the knee joints that way, raising the arms back up into warrior and then lowering the arms as we straighten the legs. Now we're going to do this on the opposite side. So turning the opposite foot out 90 degrees. Nice straight line from heel to arch. Heel of the front foot, back of the arch foot, arch of the back foot. Bending the front knee over the front ankle. Again, concentrating weight in the outer edge of the back foot. Lengthening through crown, tail is pointing toward the floor. And we're really sinking into that front leg, keeping that knee above the ankle. Holding here for a moment, feeling your power and your strength in this warrior position. And lengthening through the crown. From here, let's bend the elbow of the front arm, resting the forearm right above the kneecap and lengthening the back arm up above the back shoulder. Rearranging here as needed, lengthen through the crown. Keeping that top hip as open as possible. If you want to add intensity, you can bring that top arm to reach out above the head, but leaving it right above the shoulders just fine. Let's release that front leg by coming up and straightening it, lengthening the front arm above front shoulder, and back arm is lowering down so the hand can touch the thigh, maybe a little back bend at the top. Lowering the arms back to shoulder height, lifting the front fingertips toward the ceiling, pressing toward that wall in front of you. And again, if you have a block handy here, this is a great place to use it. You may need to bend the knee to go get it, as I did. Straightening that front leg again. And lengthening through the crown, keeping that top hip open. Maybe glancing up at the extended top arm that's extended up above the shoulder. Really feeling that stretch in the side body. Holding here for a moment. This can get intense if you need to come out, certainly do so. To come out, let's bend that front knee, bringing it back to warrior two, and then lowering the arms and walking the feet, heel toe, in toward one another. From here, we're going to come to the short edge of our mat, bringing hands to prayer position, lengthening through the crown. Tailbone is pointed toward the floor right now. Getting a really good grounding in the feet, lifting the toes so there's no gripping in the toes. From here, let's press the bum backwards and bend at the knees, trying to keep the knees as much as possible above the ankles. And we're just going to hold here in this chair position, keeping the knees pressing slightly toward one another. We don't want them falling out to the sides. And then we're just going to slowly come down to the floor. All right. Very nice. Coming into a Dandasana with our legs extended out in front of us. And from here, we're going to lift the arms above the shoulders, twist to one side, bringing the front arm to rest just on the outside of the thigh. The back arm is right behind the bum, lifting through the crown, looking over that back shoulder. Excellent. Let's raise the arms back up above the shoulders, twist to the opposite side. Front palm resting on the outside of the thigh, back palm or fingertips on the ground, lifting through the crown on the inhale, glancing over the shoulder on the exhale. And then coming back to center, lifting those arms up. And let's lower ourselves down onto our backs. Slowly lowering down. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together so that the knees are resting out to either side. And just rest here for a moment, maybe placing the hands on the belly. You could place the hands out to the side, palms toward the sky, either one. Just relaxing here for a moment before we move into something else. If you'd like to create a little bit of length in the lower back, bring the L shape between the thumb and the forefinger to rest right on the front of the hips and just press away from the body toward the feet. And that can create a little bit of length in that lower back. It usually feels pretty good. And then from here, holding that just a moment, if that feels nice, giving yourself a moment to enjoy that. Releasing the hands, drawing the knees up to point toward the sky again, drawing the knees into the chest and giving a bit of a hug here. And a little rock from side to side. From here, we're going to use the abs and the chest muscles to raise the nose toward the knees. The knees are already up there. So we're going to raise the nose toward the knees and hold here. If you need to put the fingertips behind the head so there's no tension in the neck, do so. If you want to intensify, you can lengthen the hands out to the front of your mat, holding there for a moment, and then drawing the head slowly back to the earth, lengthening out. Maybe a full body stretch here. Lengthen. And then we'll come back to place the hands on either side of the body, bringing the feet to touch the mat, the soles of the feet, the knees bent so they are toward the sky. And from here, we're going to just let the legs, the knees drop to one side. And then bring them back to center. Let them drop to the opposite side. And back to center. We're going to do this a couple more times on each side. This gives a little bit of a massage to that low back and the upper hips. Can release a little bit in the low back if there's tension there. Just keep that movement going for a few moments. Notice where you're feeling pressure, where you're feeling stretch. And then when you're back at the center, let's lengthen the legs back out in front. And relax the legs. Let the feet fall open. Relax the arms at either side of the body, palms facing toward the sky, closing the eyes. Coming into your Shavasana here, soaking up all the benefits of your practice. Maybe even moving the shoulder blades toward one another beneath the back, so that can open up through the chest. And just be here and breathe for now, scanning the body from toes up through the feet, legs, midsection, the arms, shoulders, neck, and head. You can do that repeatedly during your Shavasana to ensure that you are relaxing all the muscle groups. And I will let you know when it's time to come back to full awareness. So for right now, just be here and breathe. And for those of you who have time for an extended Shavasana, I encourage you to take that time. You can pause here and rest in Shavasana for as long as you like. Those who need to get on about their day, let's begin to bring movement to the fingertips and toes. Moving the feet, rocking side to side, rocking the hips from side to side. Bringing some movement to the arms, a nice full body stretch to bring us back to full awareness. Let's keep the eyes closed, rolling over onto one side and pillowing the head with the arm. Let's take a full breath cycle here. Coming up to seated, pressing with the hands to bring you up into that comfortable cross-legged position. If you're able to keep the eyes closed, please do so. Staying centered here. Once you get into your Sukhasana, your cross-legged position, draw some attention to the body. Noticing those places where it is grounded on the mat. Taking notice of any sensations within the body that are different now than when you first came to practice today. Notice any shifts in your state of mind or your emotional state right now versus when you first came to practice. Drawing attention to the breath, to the heart rate. Drawing the hands to prayer position at the heart. Full breath in here, full exhale. Let's take another inhale, and on the exhale, we'll chant Om once together to close. Om. That chant is just our reminder that we are connected to one another through the universal energy of creation. Let's draw the thumbs up to the forehead with our prayer position. May we have peace in our thoughts. Bringing the thumbs to the lips, may we have peace in our words. And finally, settling at the heart space, may we have peace in our hearts. The light in me recognizes, honors, and appreciates the light in you. And I bow as I say namaste. Thank you so much for being here today to practice with me. It is my honor to be your guide on your yoga journey. If you'd like to follow along and get other yogic tips as well as some Ayurvedic tips and just general good stuff about well-being, you can follow me on Instagram at Find Bliss Yoga. Certainly subscribe here so you'll get notifications whenever we post a new yoga video. And I hope this practice brought you some peace and tranquility that you can carry on throughout your day as you navigate about the outer world. Can't wait to practice with you here again soon. Namaste.